another live stream. I'm calling this the road trip. Actually, it's the most of the drive through Texas has had very limited signal, so that's why I didn't stream more on this trip. So we'll see who wants to jump on and talk about road trips, talk about my slam dunk challenge. So, hey, hello. It's been a while since I live streamed. Texas, I think the last one was the snow live stream where there was a lot of snow on the ground. Texas took at least the Houston area took a bad beating in regards to cold weather. A lot of houses had burst pipes. I think actually my house had a burst pipe too, so I've actually been on a road trip for a couple of days now, and so hopefully it's repaired by the time I get home. Hey, from the Woodlands. All right, thank you. I'm gonna keep. I hopefully have another therapy video from my tendonitis time up this weekend. Did you guys check out the video from Terry Thompson on the channel? I think he calls it the Minute Mindset or Mindful Minute. He's got some pretty motivational videos. Really glad to be partnered with Terry. So what we got here? So I wanted just to do a stream. I'm on a road trip. I'm actually, today I woke up in El Paso, heading back to the Woodlands. Anyone that knows anything about Texas, going to or from El Paso is a whole day of a drive, because Texas is just that huge. And so I woke up, left around almost 10 o'clock, and I'm just outside of San Antonio, so I still got to cross through San Antonio. I think this might be the longest live stream I do. I'm going to try to see how long the connectivity works here, but I'm about an hour plus on the west side of San Antonio, and I'm going home. Actually, I'm going to the Woodlands. So let's see, yeah, it is a long drive, a very long drive, but it's kind of neat scenery here. I don't know what areas you guys are from, but for Texas, this is actually nice to have like some hills, some rock. Let's see, so is it buffering? Is it already doing that? My apologies if the connectivity goes in and out. I am driving through some hills. I was hoping that being this close to San Antonio, I would be able to maintain a good signal. So let's talk about road trips. What are some of the places you guys have been on a road trip to? Best road trip, worst road trip? Let's share some stories. My longest road trip, I drove once during Hurricane Rita. I drove from Houston to Tucson in a straight shot, but what made it the longest road trip was the counterflow interstate lanes. Everybody was broke down and ran out of gas. So I was stuck. It took, I think, 9 hours just to go from Houston to San Antonio, and it's normally 3.5 hours, I believe. It took an extra 6 hours to get to San Antonio because of all the traffic and everybody that was broken down. So there to Tucson plus 6 hours was my longest drive in one shot. Second longest drive I think I ever did was I went to a Metallica concert in Dallas, and me and my buddy did not want to stay at a hotel after the show, so after the show we got in a car and drove all the way back to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in a straight shot after a Metallica concert. And we played Iron Maiden's The Trooper on repeat the whole drive back home from Dallas. So that was the second longest road trip I ever took. The Woodlands to Big Sky, Montana. Montana is on my list of states I'd love to see. Did you go see Yellowstone in Montana? Las Vegas in the summer. Yeah, I've also, me and my daughter stayed in Vegas and LA one summer, an entire summer, and it's quite hot in the summer in Vegas. So, let's see some other stories. Best and worst road trips. Share some road trip stories. I'm trying to think of my funniest road trip story. I was once driving to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Oh, Yellowstone is nice. I want to see Yellowstone. I definitely want to see Yellowstone sometime. Maybe I'll make it this year. The funniest story I had is my first wife and I, we were on a road trip to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and she fell asleep in the passenger seat, and I came across an 18-wheeler that was pulling another 18-wheeler behind it, so it looked like 18-wheeler pulling an 18-wheeler. So I drove right up next to it, so it was almost right in the windshield, and I just started going, ah! And so she woke up, sees this 18-wheeler in the windshield, and flips out. That was a funny story on a road trip right there. Dunk the basketball. Oh, good you brought that up. So the Slam Dunk Challenge is on March 31st. So I still got about 30 plus days to get ready to do the Slam Dunk Challenge. Hopefully once this video posts, I'll put the link to the GoFundMe page. I'm raising money for Child Mind Institute. So if those of you that want to help support that cause and support me in my effort to slam dunk again. So I just turned 44 February 17th, and I figured, why not challenge myself to slam dunk again? So that's what the Slam Dunk Challenge is about. I got, I think, 34 days. I think it's 34, 35 days. But March 31st, I'm going to live stream it. Whether I fell or tear an ACL, whatever happens, I'm going to give it 110%. That's just how I roll. So. How many pounds I've lost? So when I first started FormerlyME in November 2019, I lost up to 87 pounds. And then recently I've gained 22 back because I've been doing a lot of serious weight training. So I've puffed up a little bit due to my increase in my calorie intake. But I'm about to switch to a high cardio routine for the next 30-something days leading up to the Slam Dunk Challenge. And I'm going to I'm going to lose that 20-something pounds pretty quickly. So, thanks. Yeah, the road trip's been, at least on the way back home. When I left late last week, the roads were icy. So, interesting story from the west side of San Antonio to a city called Fort Stockton. The roads were covered in complete ice and snow, and traffic was moving maybe about 35 miles an hour max. At one point, a lot of people started braking. So I'm not in a Corvette. I'm actually in a rental car, but I'm in a Chevy Equinox. It's like a really small SUV. I actually I slid about 4 times during that trip on the ice, and one time in particular, I had to make 6 corrections to keep from running in the back of an 18-wheeler. So that was pretty interesting. I lived in Germany for about 3 years of my life, and so I'm used to. I had to learn how to drive in ice and snow while living there. How fast does this? Oh, this is like a small SUV. How fast this thing goes? I think I was trying to pass an 18-wheeler earlier this morning, and it took me forever to overtake it because I don't know what the 0 to 60 on this one is. In my Corvette, the 0 to 60 is 2.9 seconds. It's got to get up and go, but this Chevy is. I would think it's at least 14, 15 seconds, 0 to 60, if that. So, what are some other stories to share? Some of your road trips? Did your house flood in Harvey? No, it did not. There was only certain areas of the woodlands that had water over the streets. My particular neighborhood at that time had no flooding in the neighborhood. So, but interesting story. I moved to the woodlands and moved into our house 3 days before Harvey hit. So it was very memorable. So. Let's see, how fast? Oh, no, right now I'm going about 82. So what I do like about this part of Texas is that the speed limit is 80. I wish the speed limit was 80 throughout all of Texas. I wish we had areas of the U.S. where it was like an Autobahn situation, like in Germany, where it was like open speed limit. Because there's a lot of areas where it just doesn't make sense to have a speed limit, in my opinion. I would really like that. What are y'all thoughts on that? If we had a system similar to Germany, like an Autobahn, where there's no speed limit, you can go as fast as you want to go. And I'm not talking about around near cities or populated areas. I'm talking about like where I'm at now, between El Paso and San Antonio, there's a lot of nothing here. So I would love to be able to go, 90, 100, 120 miles an hour right now, but I can't. But what do you guys think of that? Autobahn, U.S. Autobahn. I do plan to stream more often. Actually, I've been talking to Terry. I've been getting a lot of advice from another YouTuber that reached out to me a couple weeks ago, and he's been telling me I need to stream more often. I am thinking about maybe streaming every day on the way to the gym, because that's a good 20-25 minutes of my day that I'm in the car. But then I'm being told that live streams need to be like an hour plus, and that's just kind of foreign to me. So I figured, you know, this is a lot of time I got on my hands, so I'll test how it is engaging for an hour. So, let's see, Terry Crews. Autobahn would be good for the United States, but some people don't know how to drive. That's very true. There's a lot of people that do not know how to drive. There's a lot of people that... I think the work... For the most part... Okay, here's a good question. What's a bigger problem? People that drive fast or people that drive slow? Because in my opinion... Sometimes it's the people that drive slow that probably cause the most accidents. But what are your thoughts on that? Fast or slow drivers? Let's do a vote. Everybody chime in with a comment. Are you thumbs up for fast drivers, or are you pro slow drivers? Lots of people are terrible drivers, but let's just talk fast and slow. Personally, I don't mind fast drivers as long as they're not driving reckless, like passing on the shoulder or doing, stupid things like that. Let's see. Yeah, if you're careful, you can avoid slow drivers, but sometimes you got slow drivers in all the lanes. That's one of my pet peeves, is when there's slow drivers going slower than the speed limit in the left lane. I prefer fast. Good. No. I mean, like most people, I could drive with my knees, so I could do that, but road trips. Let's talk about more about road trips. I know one of my biggest problems with long road trips, especially when it's late at night, everybody gets tired, right? And the right thing to do is pull over or go somewhere, get a nap, go to a rest area, try to wake yourself up. Don't keep doing the whole nod-off thing. But what are things that you guys do to keep yourself awake on a long road trip? I usually jam out to like Rage Against the Machine. It's always good to jam out to very militant type music to kind of get the blood pumping. I also like Run the Jewels. I love Run the Jewels. It's like Rage Against the Machine, Run the Jewels. That's definitely something to play late at night to keep me awake. What's some music you guys like to play to keep yourselves awake in the car? That music, yeah. Rage Against the Machine is several decades old. I get it. Roll the windows down and turn up the radio. Yeah, getting the fresh air. That's a good tip. Meth. That's just what meth. My goodness. I've never tried meth, so I can't vouch for that one, but I would not condone it since it's illegal. So, what are some other tips for keeping yourselves awake? Or does anyone have a hilarious story to share, and I'll read it out? The Eagles, U2. What's your favorite U2 song? And then for the other person, what's your favorite Eagles song? Drinking a large iced coffee. I can concur with the iced coffee. I'm not a hot coffee fan, but iced coffee, yeah. So back to the people that said U2 and the Eagles. What are your favorite U2 and Eagles songs? So my favorite Eagles song would be, most people say Hotel California, but I do like Take It Easy. My favorite U2 song is With or Without You. I sing that at karaoke every now and then. So, where are we going? I'm going back to the Woodlands, Texas. I'm heading home. Fell asleep this summer on the highway. Drove into a guardrail. Oh my goodness! Well, you're typing, so that tells me that your fingers work. So you must be okay. I'm hoping. You ran into a guardrail. That sounds pretty brutal. Are you older than 45? No, I actually just turned 44. I'll be 45 next February. Yeah, With or Without You. That's a great U2 song. Great U2 song. Let's see. I'm not that well spoken. Thank you for the compliment. I've done a lot of events and spoke around the world, so I've had a lot of practice, but I'm still not perfect. You'll hear me say just like most people do. You're mentally trying to verbally fill in the mental gaps in your thinking. So I've still got a long ways to work on that. So, that's a lane detector. All right. So, what are anybody else want to chime in with some stories? Road trip stories. This is all about road tripping. Beautiful Day, U2. Another good song by U2. I actually saw U2 in concert in Paris. There was a concert venue north of Paris. I saw U2 at, I'm trying to remember the band that opened. I think it was Interpol was the band that opened for him. So it was Interpol and U2. So, am I road tripping towards? No, I'm not. So we got this, what's the last thing? We got a speeding ticket. So, I've never actually gotten a speeding ticket, ever. So, no speeding tickets at all. Celebrity impressions, no. I mean, I do like Sean Connery, so I'll kind of try to do my eyebrow up. But no, not vocal, no impressions there. Anybody else got road trip stories to share? Did you buy that? I do own several cryptocurrencies. That being one of them. Going to gym, not today. I will be back in the gym tomorrow. I actually haven't been to. Correction. I haven't been to a gym in 2 days. Road trip to the Gulf Coast. What particular state? Camping and survival, stream in the woods. So, interesting you say that. I'm going to be going to Zion National Park in about a week and a half, I believe. I got to look at my schedule, but I'm going to be hiking in Zion National Park, and I believe I'm either touring part of the Grand Canyon, or I'm going to be seeing one of the deserts out around the Vegas area. So I'm not 100% sure on the itinerary. I still got to work the itinerary out, but Zion National Park is, I think, now locked in. I drove family to grandparents. I always listen to heavy metal songs. What heavy metal songs do you listen to, Muhammad? Always want to go up there. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Zion. I've heard from so many people that Zion is one of the most beautiful parks in the United States. I recently went to Death Valley, which, if you guys haven't checked out that video, that was a real cool experience. The whole peaceful desolation and solitude that you have there is it's very calming, eerily calming there. So, yeah, I'll go. West is a lot. Yeah, I'm going to address that since you want. Then why can people Google Jim West cybersecurity and they'll find events I've spoken at? I've been gainfully employed this whole time, so that's an absolute lie. So whoever you are, was it King of Tulane? You are sorely misinformed. So get your facts straight. So that's a truth bomb for you. You could Google me and see. I've been gainfully employed, continuously gainfully employed. So, and I have. And by the way, King of Tulane, I have two careers. I own 7 businesses. So more facts for you. Talking about unemployed. So definition of unemployed. Sometime get your vocab up. So. That company is fake. I said 7 companies. Again, facts. get your information straight. So I don't know who you are, King of Tulane, but you're very comical. In fact, I didn't know Tulane had a king. Are you referring to Tulane University in New Orleans? Because a good friend of mine is a fellow at the University of Tulane in the mathematics department. But then again, that might be way above your intelligence level. All right, so what else we got here? I'm going to move on because you're not worth my time. Okay. So anybody else got road trips? So, any other road trip stories? So far this is 21 minutes. I was wondering, like, you know, when people stream for hours on end, how do they keep things interesting? How do they keep conversation going? Because, you know, the few streams I've seen of some individuals, I just find them to be quite boring, in my opinion. That's just my 2 cents. Breaking up, is it it could be the signal. I am going towards San Antonio, so hopefully the signal gets better and better. Yeah, I don't have moderators on my chat. I don't mind people coming on and trying to, like, you know, troll the chat. Make it, you know, part of one of my initiatives is authenticity. You know, I know on certain other YouTubers, streamers chats, they got, like, you know, a couple of moderators that are deleting comments. I've seen so many comments get deleted on this one particular individual's live stream platform. It's hilarious how they got their mods working overtime deleting stuff from the chats. But you know what? I'll take the good and the bad, because it's up to me what I choose to engage with here. So you know, there's certain individuals I'm not going to discuss on my channel anymore because I've closed the chapter on that. I moved on, and so the speed limit just dropped. Now I'm in 75. So now, yeah, it's now 75 miles an hour. Sad speed limit. So, yeah, still about an hour outside of San Antonio. So, all right, what we got here? There's, so back to road trips. Who wants to share a road trip story? Brixton. Is Brixton UK? I love the UK. My favorite city in the world, if we're talking UK briefly, is London. London's my #1 city in the world, followed by Tokyo. I've been to London 51 times, 51 trips to London. I took my daughters to London 3 times. They've been to London. But I don't think I've been to Brixton, so. I like how certain individuals are spamming my chat, but you know what? You're insignificant. So we're going to talk about what other road trip stories do I got. Talked about my longest road trips. I've done a lot of trips, like short road trips, like to Austin, Galveston. I did a road trip maybe about 4 or 5 months ago. I went to Hot Springs. In fact, that video is on the channel. I did a trip to Hot Springs. I've road trip to New Orleans. New Orleans is about a 5.5-hour drive, so I've done several road trips to New Orleans. I used to live in the New Orleans area. What is your objective? Oh, good question. You know, talking about road trips is what, you know, I'm on a road trip, so I wanted to just do a stream. One of the reasons of this stream is me to see if can I engage for a whole hour, since I have all the time in the road, you know, in the world right now with me on the road. Just to kind of really test. This is really a test to see if I can stream for an hour plus and see how it goes. So that's the objective for this particular stream. Road trip Australia. I have not been to Australia, but I do want to go to Australia. You know, I have a lot of travel plans. I'm just waiting for the world to get back to a normal where COVID is not a concern for countries and travel bans or travel restrictions are removed. But I do have, I definitely have a lot of countries on my list to still go see. I've been to 68 countries, but there's still a lot of countries I want to go see. So, does anybody else want to share a road trip story? I know we talked earlier about the music. Thanks for the folks that commented on that. I will go to Australia. Definitely after COVID, I did want to go to Australia. And I've had a lot of people that have told me about various cities, and that they tell me, get outside of Sydney. Don't just waste all my time in Sydney. They're like, go, you know, Melbourne. They've recommended other locations for me to go to. So I definitely want to spend at least a minimum of 2 weeks. If I go somewhere, if I go to a new country, I like to start with 2 weeks, and if I like it, I'll extend. You know, I've spent entire summers in regions and countries. Me and my daughters, when they were younger, we would travel around the world. We would go to like a region and stay there for an entire summer. So I definitely look forward to doing that again. Because I'm soon to be an empty nester. So my youngest is graduating real soon, and so once I'm pretty much on my own, I look to definitely travel a lot more and share, I guess, my travels on this channel. So. Let's see. Have I seen accidents on the road trip? Actually, on the way last week, I think it was Thursday, there were several 18-wheelers that were wrecked on the side of the road. There were mostly 18-wheelers that were on the side of the road. I think there was at least 20-plus 18-wheelers, because whether they broke down in the ice and snow, or some of them looked like they slid off the road. And there was definitely one that slid off into the median, and it was definitely going to take a lot to get that 18-wheeler out. So yeah, there was a lot of, again, a lot of folks aren't used to driving in the ice, and the roads were completely iced over. So, let's see. Where am I headed? I'm heading to the Woodlands, Texas. I'm heading home. I took the past few days a road trip, and now quiet, peaceful drive. You know, even though from El Paso, the cop. Let's see what's. I think I'm good on the speed. Yeah. Maybe y'all see it in the window there when I pass them. Sheriffs. Yep, y'all saw it. So, where was I? Looks like someone's wanting to like dox someone's name on here. I'm not cool with that. If you are really who I think you are, I wouldn't advise putting your father's name on a chat. So. So where was that? Oh yeah, just been a lot of solitude, a lot of peaceful like reflection. I think sometimes just the idea of getting in a car and just driving somewhere, going on a long road trip is it's almost like a meditative type thing. Can anyone occur or feel the same way? I personally love road trips. I love to get in the car and just drive. I definitely look forward to taking the vet on a couple short road trips. I'm not going to go on any long road trips in the vet, but I'm thinking I'll at least take the vet one trip to New Orleans in the vet, and then definitely a trip down to Galveston is like a really rich. There's a second freaking. There's another sheriff's car there. You got a speed trap set up here. Check the window, and boom, there he was. So, I guess better pay attention to speed limit signs. So, you used to love road trips? You don't anymore? Well, don't get me wrong, there's advantages to flying. I mean, obviously, that's a good question, I guess, for everybody. What is an ideal road trip, or what is the maximum comfort zone hour-wise for a road trip? Is it Is it 4 hours? Is it 6 hours? Or is it 7+ hours? Be careful while driving. Thank you for the comment. I used to joke with my daughters all the time that I'm the world's safest driver. I've never had any accidents where I was at fault. I've had people hit me, but I've never had any accidents where I was at fault. I actually had the worst accident I've ever had. I've been sideswiped once. I actually almost had someone broadside my Corvette actually last week. Someone ran right through a red light, and luckily the Brimbos on the car stopped me. I was literally 2 inches away from getting hit, so that was kind of scary. Yeah, someone ran a red on me. I was like, what would have been my luck within the first month of owning my Corvette to basically get T-boned? So I know I'm not going to wreck. I'm very conscious of where I'm at on the road. So yeah, I think the question to the chat was, what is the comfort, what is the time, road trip time that everyone thinks is the most comfortable? Is it 4 hours or less, 6 hours or less, or is it 7 hours or less? For me, I think 6 hours. I think anything more than 6 hours then becomes brutal. So like half a day to, 6 hours is with stops is pretty much like a whole day of driving anyway. So what do y'all think? Anybody want to chime in with times on road trips? All right, you want to spam some more? I'll deal with it. You lived with Maya in my home? No, nobody that was not a family member lived in my home with any of my daughters. So first, that's false. So get your facts straight. Again, I'm having to tell you, get your facts straight. Two, if you are who I think you are, and Maya lived with your family, that only lasted a couple of months because she ended up being asked to leave, and I took her back in. So I don't want to keep talking about this individual, but you're definitely spamming a lot. You want to put out things in all caps, as if you are speaking truths in all caps, but you're really just a drain on my energy. In fact, see, could anyone give me some instruction on this, or how do I remove someone from the chat? Yeah, it is very annoying because I'm trying to actually engage with you guys and he's just like constantly spamming the chat up. So let me do this. I am going to check around me. Let's see. Thanks, chat folks, for addressing it, but usually trolls, they love the attention. See if I can. Hopefully I don't lose signal, guys. I'm going to take an exit real quick and see if I can figure out how to do something on this. Or actually, let me just slow down. You know what? I'll just keep it going. Alright. So, I'm starting to get into more populated areas now, so hopefully the signal's better. I know a lot of times there's buffering, but this area, before I got to this close to San Antonio, a lot of the cell towers, there was no signal for about a good 2.5 hours of the drive from El Paso to here. There was literally no signal. And interstates usually have signal all the way through, but I believe because of the weather last week, they're still trying to do some repairs. All right, so this. All right, I just put him on timeout. I think that might work for a bit. All right, maybe that got rid of King of Two Lane for at least a while. I think it's called a timeout feature. So you've been put on timeout, King of Two Lane. Take a timeout. Why don't you sit and chill for a minute? Go to the corner. Put your nose in the corner. Jesus. All right. Oh, goodness. Sorry about that. I just had to inject a little humor. I mean, it was being annoying, but now it's funny. So. All right. So, okay, where are we at? All right, I was asking people about time, road trip times. What's the ideal road trip time? Does anyone want to chime in? Hours ideal time for road trip. Where did you drive 14 hours to, Matt? Matt N, 14 hours. I want to know, where did you drive for 14 hours? You can hear me. I'm talking to you right now. Where did you drive for 14 hours? I want to know. Maybe I'm thinking Memphis. Okay, so yeah, you're right. I guess you got to go up and then you got to go over to Nashville. So that's a monster drive, man. Nashville's a nice town too. I like Nashville. Yep. So yeah, Nashville, man, Nashville's a nice town. I like Memphis too, but Nashville's definitely, in my opinion, much nicer. But yeah, okay, 14 hours to Nashville. Thanks for the great comments, guys. Yeah, one of your favorite cities? All right, so road trips. What is your favorite city to drive to? So we just heard about Nashville. I mentioned the most common one I've drove to. I drove to Hot Springs. I drove to New Orleans. Those are two cities I like to drive to. So what are cities you guys and towns you guys like to road trip to? So you're going on a road trip. Where's your number one city? Like, this is the best drive for me. Part Bali. I haven't been to Bali. I do want to go. How's driving there though? Ever been to Oregon? I've been to Portland, but I flew into Portland. I hadn't had the opportunity to drive around Portland, but I've flown to Portland. I believe twice I've been to Portland. Detroit. I've driven in Detroit once, but I flew into Detroit, picked up a rental car, and I left in the evening. I spoke at two schools. This was maybe 2 years ago. I spoke at a school in Michigan, and I spoke at a school in Ohio. Asheville, North Carolina, I bet that's a real pretty drive. You call it the Blue Ridge Parkway. Okay, I'm going to have to add that to the list. You see, my list is always growing as I talk with people, and they share their travel stories and where they've been, and just to kind of, I wish I could hear everybody talking about, because it's another thing when you hear the enthusiasm in someone's voice. But yeah, Asheville, North Carolina, I'd love to check that out sometime, especially in the fall where the leaves are changing colors. Would you go international? Yeah, I love to travel international. Again, been to 68 countries. Some of the countries on my list, as soon as COVID restrictions are lifted, I want to go see Wales, Scotland, Ireland. I plan to go see Australia's on my list. I do plan to go to Dubai and do a Dubai Desert Sauna Suit Challenge, where I wear a sauna suit for 3+ hours. New Zealand is also on my list of places to go see. But, as other people said, I'm unemployed for 3 years, so how am I traveling all these places and doing the things I do? And I'm unemployed. I find a lot of the things that people want to put out on the internet as facts about me, and no one knows anything about me. Even my own kids don't know a lot about what I do, because I do work that is, I do consulting and work for national security systems and other things that I won't go into much detail on. But the thing is, even my daughters just know I do computer stuff, or I do cybersecurity, and but I mean, even they don't really have a clue of everything that I do. So anyone out there, unless they are a work colleague of mine that directly has worked with me, that can speak like, yeah, this is what he does, most of the people on the internet are making assumptions, especially when they take something like, I've been unemployed for 3 or 4 years. I find that hilarious. So I'm speeding now. So, back to road trips. We talked music, we talked the ideal time. Someone said 14 hours, Houston to Nashville. That's a monster drive. Trying to think. I think personally, again, I'm going to say that 6 hours, I think, is the perfect time for a road trip because it's not too long, you know, even with stops. So if you're wherever you live, just figure out what a six hour radius is from you, and that should be all the places that would be ideal to road trip to. Cybersecurity is a huge money pot. Yeah, so I don't want to get off the topic of road trips, but you know, someone just commented about cybersecurity. I'll share a story. So I own a website called topcyberpro.com. I see another thing that people are saying a lot about me is that, oh, he's going to just use all this for publicity. I want to keep everything that's on this channel focused on FormerlyME, focus on myself and becoming a better version of myself. But I will share this one story because this gives a little insight to who I am and what I do. So topcyberpro.com is a website I started when I had a friend of mine that in the Houston area, when COVID hit and shut everything down, I had a friend of mine that lost their job. And they saw an advertisement on Facebook for cybersecurity training with a particular university. I'm not going to call out this university, but other universities have done this too, where they are advertising like a cybersecurity boot camp or some kind of training program. So what happened is that this individual had contacted them, filled out the application to apply. Of course, they got accepted, and next thing they know, they got to pay for it, $11,000 for a boot camp, a cybersecurity boot camp. So they luckily asked me before they went and got the loan approved. They said, "Jim, can you look at this? Is this something that's worth, $11,000?" So I looked at it. I said, "Well, it's content. It's all virtual classrooms and labs. You're going to learn something if you don't know anything about cybersecurity. You're going to learn something. But for $11,000, are you getting any certifications or what type of degree are they offering with this?" And she's like, "There's no degree. There's just a certificate of completion of this boot camp." And I said, "Well, you know what you're going to do with that? When you spend your $11,000 to get your piece of paper at the end, you're going to be able to do bo diddly with that because there's no employer out there that's going to hire you based upon a certificate of completion. Every job out there in the industry requires a certification or a degree or experience or a combination of those three." So I told this person, I said, "Look, here's a bunch of YouTube videos you can watch. Here's a bunch of free websites. Load Kali Linux. Get your computer set up with VirtualBox if it's Windows. Start playing with Kali Linux." So I kind of gave them a rough, hey, this is a down and dirty how you immerse yourself in this stuff. So long story short, after hearing that these universities were charging tens of thousands of dollars to people, and especially during the aftermath of quarantine and shutdowns, that people were looking to transition to cybersecurity, I started topcyberpro.com to put out my master classes on getting people to pass their certifications. So if you go on the site and you see the testimonials, those are all people in industry that have gotten their certifications because of me and my tools and techniques to pass certifications. So that's something that I've done. I think the most expensive package we have on there is $500, a far cry from $11,000 that a particular university in the Houston area was charging people. I hope they didn't make too much money off of that because that's just ripping people off. So if anybody knows anything about me, if I see something that's just a gross, kind of like price gouging people or just taking advantage of people during a time that is not cool to take advantage of people, I definitely felt I had the content to do something about it. I had the books, I had the master class, so I put that site together as a way to help people transition to cybersecurity. So I want to get off that topic now and get back to the job. So, all right, so back to road trips. Who wants to share a road trip story and we can talk about it? What's your longest road trip? What's your funniest road trip story? You type it out for me. I'll read it. We'll talk about it. Yes, I still live in Texas. I will be living in Texas at least until the end of this year. Alabama to Gatlinburg. Love Gatlinburg, Tennessee. It's in the Smoky Mountains, for those of you who don't know where Gatlinburg is. Beautiful, beautiful place. Drove to Hawaii. That would be an interesting drive. But driving on the islands of Hawaii, I've done that. So I've been on the, obviously I flew into Honolulu and I rented a car and drove to the North Shore. Giovanni's Shrimp Truck, for those of you people that like good food. If you're ever in Hawaii or in the Honolulu area, get outside the city, get away from the tourist traps like Waikiki Beach, get up to the North Shore. North Shore has really beautiful beaches, great waves if you like to surf, and the food trucks up there are amazing. I know there's a lot of food trucks with like pictures from the Lost crew and actors that shot the series Lost there that visited all those food trucks. But Giovanni's Shrimp Truck, thumbs up. Let's see what else we got here. Anyone else want to share? I just put someone else on timeout. Thought it might be another account from the same person. Maine? Where did you drive to? Maine, New York? I see Maine. There's a lot to read. But I'm being careful, guys. Don't worry. Go to Taiwan. So Taiwan, I've been just to their airport. I would think I was transiting from Singapore to Dubai, and I spent, I think, 2.5 hours in the Taiwan airport. So I haven't been to Taiwan yet. Taiwan, okay. Some of my favorite road trips was when I lived in Germany. When you're in Germany, you could just drive over to the Netherlands. You could drive to France. You could drive to Czech Republic, Austria, Salzburg. Wonderful places. I drove to Switzerland, to Italy. Go to Michigan. All right, let's talk about worst road trip ever. The worst road trip you ever been on. Road trip from hell. Well, let's go. Me, road trip from hell would have to be... Oh, goodness. I don't know if I have a road trip from hell story. Oh, well, there's a road trip I avoided with a group of friends of mine. In my early 20s, a group of friends of mine left from the Baton Rouge area, and they decided to bring someone back home to the Chicago area. So they went up to Chicago. They had Chicago pizza, deep dish pizza, and then from there they decided to make a food trip out of it. This was right after the Christmas break. So they went up to Canada. They crossed in the border of Canada, and they wanted to have Canadian bacon. Well, I guess the Border Patrol Mountie police officer there was just giving them standard questions, and a friend of mine leaned over in the window, and now these guys were not prepared for winter weather. They're wearing like Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica shirts, black jeans, and army boots. That's like kind of how the guys were dressed. So they were not dressed. They had no coats, no sweaters. They were not prepared for cold weather, and it's snowing. And he leans out the window and tells this officer, who's just saying, "Do you have any contraband, any illegal items?" Standard stuff that most normal people just say, "No, officer," and then he waves you along, and you go about your day. Not my friend. My friend looks at this officer in the eyes and says, "I have an illegal immigrant in the trunk." So he gets ordered out the car. They get all ordered out the car in the freezing snow as the officers search the entire vehicle very slowly, might I add. So if that wasn't the worst part of the trip, they went to New York. They went to Buffalo to have buffalo wings in Buffalo, New York. They went to Philly to have a Philly steak and cheese. Then on the way back towards Louisiana, they were passing near Kentucky, and they said, "We got to have Kentucky Fried Chicken in Kentucky." So they actually drove 4 hours into Kentucky. It took them 4 hours past the border or state line of Kentucky before they found a Kentucky Fried Chicken in Kentucky. So even though the trip was somewhat interesting, that was definitely a road trip I'm glad I missed. And it's funny to hear about it, but I'm glad I wasn't part of that trip, because that was definitely a long trip for food. So, all right, so so what's your worst road trip? I'm sorry I didn't look at the chat for a minute. Fastest car you have driven. So the fastest car I've driven, I've been in the Ironman car is a R8, I believe. I've been in an R8. I've been in a Lambo. I've been in a Ferrari. I would think the R8. So I was in UAE for that one. What do I think about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? I would encourage anyone that is looking to diversify their portfolios and what they invest into, include whatever you feel comfortable in your risk appetite, percentage-wise, into cryptocurrency. There is the twins, the name escapes me right now, the twins that had the legal issue with Zuckerberg and Facebook. They've started, and they have a business where they're offering a credit card soon that you'll be able to earn cryptocurrency cash back, which is, I think, a win-win. If you're going to use a credit card, why not get cash back in cryptocurrency? So if my brain thinks of the site later, I'll definitely put it in the description of this video later. But I would recommend anyone that's doing any kind of investing to put a percentage that you're comfortable with into cryptocurrencies. They're not going away, and they're only going to gain in value. Okay, I see you. I got to put you on timeout again. King of Tulane, bad. Back in the corner to you. So, all right, we're approaching an hour, guys. I'll be brutally honest. I had my doubts of whether or not I can engage and be somewhat interesting. I don't really think I'm that interesting for beyond 20 minutes, but okay, I don't know what you're saying. Okay, I'm being very careful, guys. So I'm 44. I've driven all over the world. I've driven in combat zones. I've driven in some of the worst places to drive in the world. I've driven in Asia, driven in the Middle East, so I'm a very safe driver. So, of course, wouldn't it be just be talking about how safe of a driver I am, and then I get in an accident on a live stream? Wouldn't that just be like the most messed up thing ever? But no, I'm a very safe driver. So, what were we talking about? Worst road trips ever. So I was on a road trip once. I'll share okay, I can share this story. I can't give the names of who I'm with because I got to protect some confidentiality. I was in Beirut, Lebanon, on a road trip to visit some people. And during this road trip, I'm socialized with the people in the vehicle. I won't give names. I'll say a couple of them were Lebanese and a couple of them were American. So I'm in the front passenger seat of this vehicle, and I woke up that day. I'm a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so I had a Ben Roethlisberger jersey on, black and yellow. So I'm in the passenger seat, and we're driving along the highway and the road there, and I see a sign for Jerusalem, X amount of miles away or kilometers away. So I look over at the driver who's Lebanese, and I say, "Hey, how close are we to the border to Israel?" This person just keeps looking straight ahead like I didn't even say anything to him. So finally someone from the back goes, "Jim, they don't acknowledge the existence of Israel." So they say the person's name. They're like, how far are we from Palestine? So they immediately start talking to me. "Oh, it's only like 20 kilometers up ahead." Well, as we get closer and closer, we start hitting checkpoints. So most checkpoints are uniformed soldiers that are just checking for passports and IDs, and they wave you along real quick. They just look in your car and they wave you along. And we've been through a couple of these, and so I kind of start getting I'm getting more what's the word I want to use? more complacent is the best word I'll use. I'm getting very complacent, so I'm like, okay, these people, we're okay. They wouldn't take us anywhere dangerous. We come up to a checkpoint, and one of the folks in the back says, "Jim, lean back in your seat," because I got the big name Roethlisberger across the back of my jersey. They're like, "Jim, lean back in the seat and don't lean up." So I find it odd, but I do what they asked me to do. So we roll up this checkpoint, and I start to notice that these people don't have uniforms on. They're not uniformed soldiers, but they have AK-47s and weapons. So long story short, when we passed through this checkpoint, I found out it was a Hezbollah checkpoint. So that's an interesting road trip story I could share, where I went through a Hezbollah-controlled checkpoint. Inadvertently didn't know I was going through one until after the fact. But that's somewhat interesting, I guess. Then the end of the road trip ended with driving through the hills, and this driver pointed out all these gray circles or areas of the hills where rockets have landed. So that's how that particular road trip ended. So I would list that as one of the worst road trips. But nothing happened, but it was definitely not, it was not the greatest of road trips in that particular case. Okay, Tommy, I've seen that too many times. I'm going to put you on timeout, sorry. So, yeah, it was a little scary after the fact. But like I said, I was with a lot of folks that were very well experienced and knew how to get around. And so it wasn't that I was in. So I want to clarify, I wasn't in any imminent danger. It was just trying to make sure a situation didn't potentially become more than what it should be. So. But interesting, talking about road trips, that's an interesting road trip story I have there. So, oh goodness. So, anyone else want to share road trip stories? We're talking worst road trip stories. I'm sorry about banning time. I just put him on timeout because he kept putting the same paragraph, and I've seen it a few times, and I don't have time to read the whole paragraph because I'm driving. But Tommy, my apologies if you're not trying to spam the chat. Like I said, I don't have time to read everything you're putting there, but I think everybody gets it. Whatever you're trying to say, I think they got it by now. Joey has a good story. Joey, do you want to share your story? My worst road trip was girlfriend and I took, and she lost her jewel. We were in the middle of the desert, 130 degrees out. What desert? Heat exhaustion. Heat exhaustion and what desert? We go back. This is Jimmy Bravo. What desert was you in 130 degrees heat? Because I was recently in Death Valley and it only hit 113, and that was super hot at 113 degrees. So where were you at 130? The only other place in the world I've been where it gets that hot is Kuwait in the Middle East. It gets really, really hot. So where was you at, Jimmy? Can you let everybody know what desert? Joe Exotics, Tiger King Zoo. I almost did that drive. I almost went up to Oklahoma. It's just a couple hours north of Dallas. I almost did that, and then the shutdown happened, so I missed going to. But you're telling me it was the worst road trip. Was the trip the letdown, or was the zoo the letdown? All right, we got Jimmy. It was during summer. It was super hot. What desert, Jimmy? What desert was it? Worst road trip. Went to Starbucks and it was closed. Funny. Artificial switch. That's pretty funny. You went to Starbucks and it was closed. It's kind of like going to Wally World and it's closed, for anyone who gets that reference. That just really dated me there. It's a family vacation. They drive across the country to go to Wally World and it's closed. Death Valley. It hit 130 for you in Death Valley. I would not want to break down in Death Valley. And I heard people talk about breaking down in Death Valley. I'm glad my rental car held up. And I left it running the whole time, so I'm glad it held up the whole time. Wow, Death Valley, dude, 130 and you survived. Man, I'm gonna give you an applause for that. You survived Death Valley. Over by Furnace Creek, hottest place in North America. Dude, 130. Wow. I'm gonna have to go back to Death Valley when it does hit that high again. Because it hit 113. So if you watch my Death Valley video on my channel, my sauna suit, I've been wearing my sauna suit the whole time for 3.5 hours in Death Valley. I drank 10 liters of water and electrolytes that day. But when I was leaving Furnace Creek for the last time before I went to the Salt Flats, the sauna pants just split right in the middle, split all the way down. And so yeah, I hit 113, and that was hot. I can only imagine 130, dude. All right, so I like the artificial switch when you talked about you went to Starbucks and it was closed. Hopefully you didn't drive hours and hours to that Starbucks. Hopefully it was only a 5 or 10 minute drive. It was not that big of a disappointment. So hey everyone, we've actually passed an hour of doing a live stream. I'm actually impressed that I've reached an hour. I'll be brutally honest, I really didn't think I was going to get an hour. I thought that it was just going to be nails on a chalkboard, but you guys have been great. I mean, you know, chiming in, allowing me to share some stories with you, and, you know, you commenting with stories of your own. Thank you guys. This has actually been really interesting to do this. So right now I'm, let me just make sure I don't, right, this is what I'm going to do, because I'm in a construction area, so I got to have a little bit more focus on the road. So, so yeah, the 130 degrees Death Valley, that is impressive. And so I lost a jewel, and you got broke down in Death Valley at Furnace Creek. But at least Furnace Creek has a few, like there's a hotel nearby, so at least you weren't like in, you know, in like a remote, desolate region, you know. But still, 130 degrees and stuck there, man. Whew. I just know at 112, 111 degrees, I was pouring sweat, like just pouring. I mean, you can see it on the video. I'm just like, sweat's pouring. Even when I'm sitting in the rental car with the AC on max AC, I'm still sweating, and just while I'm wearing a sauna suit, but still, I was just pouring sweat the whole time. And in fact, I didn't realize how dehydrated it made me until the next morning. I was supposed to do a trip out to the west rim of the Grand Canyon, and I was so exhausted and dehydrated the next day that I couldn't go anywhere. I had to rest up the whole next day, so I missed the third part of that trip. Was supposed to be the Grand Canyon. I was going to do the Skywalk, and it didn't happen. So hopefully on a future trip I'll be doing Skywalk, even though I can't video it, but I plan to do Skywalk. I can't really read right now. I'm going through a construction zone area, so the roads are real tight, so I don't have a lot of room for error. I got 18-wheelers ahead of me and on the side of me. So, got to drive safe. Safety first. I'm going to see someone trying to get an answer. Did they do a waterproofing treatment on the glass? I don't know about that question, Jimmy. If later, I might comment. So I don't know what question you have, Brandon King. So again, I've been focused on the road. I just got through a construction area. What are my weekend plans? So I sing karaoke. If I don't travel anywhere or have anything else plan, my usual weekend, I call it my karaoke therapy. Actually, I might live stream one of my karaoke nights if that's of interest to you guys. I sing every Saturday night at a place about 20 minutes away from where I live. It's kind of, you know, I call it the Karaoke Cool Kids Club. A couple of us sing songs. I mean, my favorite food is Thai and Italian. Favorite dish, lasagna. Favorite food, answer that question real quick. But yeah, karaoke is usually my weekend. My Saturday night is karaoke. I usually go from about 7:30 till 1 in the morning singing. I sing anywhere from 10 to 13 songs every Saturday. My favorite songs to sing, I like to sing Bad Day and Hemorrhage by Fuel. I sing almost anything by Stained. I sing Down with the Sickness by Disturbed. Never Tear Us Apart by In Excess. Radiohead, Creep, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots. My goodness, mostly 90s alternative rock. This is what I usually sing. Most people like Fuel and anything by Aaron Lewis. Usually my voice is better suited for their songs. Karaoke Cool Kids Club. What is that? Can I be? Anybody can be in a Karaoke Cool Kids Club. Just go to karaoke and just enjoy yourself. You know, people get all worked up about having to, like, sing good. You know, karaoke is Japanese for tone deaf, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think I heard that somewhere, read that somewhere. It's just about having fun. And to me, I call it karaoke therapy because it lets me just kind of, you know, like if I'm singing a rock song, it lets me get some angst out. If I'm singing, you know, an emotional song, it just lets me, you know, just kind of for that moment of that song, just have a release, an emotional release. So to me, it's my karaoke therapy and works for me. I know some other people that kind of identify with that and it works for them too. Whether you sing in the car, sing in the shower, it feels just good to kind of, you know, sing. So, what else see here? Do you play video games? Yes, I do. I'm still on, don't make fun of me, but I'm still on Black Ops 4. I mean, I have the 2 newer Call of Duty since then, but just for some reason, because I leveled up, you know, I have all the things unlocked in Black Ops 4. I'm still playing Black Ops 4. My goodness. I could talking about Black Ops 4. I mean, who likes Artifact or Shatton? I hate those maps. My favorite map is the Grind. I like Grind because it's just quick, really fast map. I like Nuketown. Obviously, everybody that's, you know, favorite for most people. But I like the smaller maps where you don't have to, like, you know, you kind of already know the camping spots and so forth. But yeah, I play a lot of Black Ops 4. Oh, God, no one wants to watch me play video games. So I'm either having I have 2 modes. I'm either having a really good time, and because, you know, when you're doing pickup groups and pickup teams, if you're doing team deathmatch, I do hardcore team deathmatch. And it goes one or 2 ways. Either I jump in a game. I don't know how many people can identify this. You come into a pickup group in a game. The game's already going, but then someone's already got the strike teams. There's like 3 strike teams on the opposing team. They have they're just raining down fire on everybody. It's like, okay, exit this one. I'm not going to be on this one. But then if I get on a decent team, my favorite nights of when I do game, I like it when I'm able to, like, you know, carry the team. No one likes to carry their team, but I've not dropped a nuke, which is a 30-0 with no score streaks or offensive score streaks. I have not dropped a nuke in that game yet, but the closest I came was 28-0, and the time limit ran out, and I was on a good team of people that were also, you know, doing really, really well, and we were just basically trying to rob each other of kills on the team. But the best I ever did was 28-0 in Black Ops 4. It was such a pity I didn't get a nuke. So looks like Louisiana. Oh, it's not Louisiana. This is actually Texas. I'm actually approaching San Antonio. I kind of get where you might say Louisiana, but this is still a little bit hilly in the geography. So from my recollection, not many parts of Louisiana have this many hills. And I know it's about to get dark here real soon, so I won't be continuing this chat too much longer because I am in a very populated area and I don't want to not be safe with my driving. But speaking of games, I've considered maybe live streaming a game or 2, so maybe I might do that down the road. I definitely got to sharpen up my my PlayStation 4 skills. In fact, anybody got a PlayStation 5 out there? I need to order one. I've been kind of out of touch with staying current on the video game aspect because of FormerlyME. Okay, what do we have here? Dunk progress. So I'm not going to attempt any dunks at all until March 31st. That was one of my things that I will be posting on Instagram, like pics of me working out in the gym, pictures. I'll do some videos with my trainers. Allie Wetzel is my fitness trainer. She's on FormerlyME.com. She's my trainer this month. I'm still working on the details of my trainer for March, but I believe Allie's sessions will extend into March. So she's phenomenal. She's like level 99 fit. If you want to check out her profile on Instagram, she's phenomenal. And so she's working with me to do a lot of leg exercises to get me ready for the Slam Dunk Challenge. Basketball hoop. Oh, it shattered. So even when I dunked before, when I was like 19, 20, about that time frame was the last time I was able to dunk, I never shattered a backboard. I think back then I was a beam post, so I don't think I had the strength to even consider shattering the backboard. I've been PlayStation my whole life. From PlayStation, actually my first one was PlayStation 2, but from PlayStation 2 all the way through. The only time I've ever played Xbox, I don't want to, tick off any of the Xboxes out there, but the only time I played Xbox, when I was in Iraq, I was in a combat zone for 2 years in the military, in their NWRs, as they call it, their recreation centers. They exclusively had Xboxes. So there was a period of time where I had to learn how to play Halo, and because they would have Halo tournaments all the time in Iraq. So, anytime you play a new game, you got to learn the maps, learn the weapons, learn like what works against what. You have to learn the game. That's just with any game. So I remember my first few weekends playing Halo with these guys. These guys were destroying me. I was the noob, right? So once I learned some of the basics of the game, learned the maps, I think it took me about 30 days. I won my first Halo tournament. Then I did a lot of C-130 flights to Kuwait from Iraq. And so when I would go down to Kuwait, I would go to the NWR tents where transiting soldiers would be, they'd have like 4 Xboxes linked up and doing big, gaming sessions. And I would just walk up to them like, hey, can I jump in? And they're like, are you any good? I'm like, I'm okay. And then within minutes, I was really adept at throwing the sticky grenades. I could throw a sticky grenade across a map and stick someone in the head. That was the one map that was the purple alien ship map, where there's like the spiral stairwells. That was one of my favorites, to just throw a sticky grenade across the way and stick someone in the head. My favorite weapon was a shotgun, because my handle name is Legion of Boom. So if anybody's wanting to look me up on PlayStation Network, it's Legion_of_boom, all caps, Legion of Boom. And so people be shouting out, who the hell is Legion of Boom? He just stuck me in the face with a sticky grenade. And that would happen all night long, and I would just laugh and chuckle. And of course, I was a surgeon with a shotgun in that game. The sword, everybody feared the guy with the sword, right? The sword's one-hit kill. But I would do some people know about the semicircle strafe butt stroke, and you'd kill the guy with the sword. I did that all the time to people. So yeah, Halo was one of those, during my couple years in Iraq, was one of those fun moments in video gaming. So, well, look, guys, we're approaching an hour and 15. It's getting dark, and because it's getting dark, there's not going to be a lot to see here. But I just want to thank you guys. You guys have interacted with me. I've asked lots of questions. You guys chimed in with answers. That's just been really surprising me, and just encourages me to want to do more of these live streams. So thank you for that. So I will do more live streams. So we're at the first Woodstock. No, I wasn't. I haven't been to Woodstock. So yeah, Halo Gamer moment. Well, thank you guys for the comments. Thank you guys for the support and just interacting with me. It's been really amazing, actually. I've had a really positive experience with this. So I'm going to sign off now, and I look forward to live streaming again. I'll probably live stream tomorrow. I will be home. I haven't seen my Corvette in a week, so I'm looking forward to firing it up. So I definitely will do another live stream tomorrow. So more to come. I want to definitely share my Zion trip details with you guys once I get more of it ironed out over this weekend. And maybe I'll live stream me singing karaoke Saturday night. Who knows? So thank you guys again for the support. Thank you for everything that you guys do with talking to the people on this chat that were trying to spam the chat. And with that, that's been Formerly Me.